We haven't been talking about it for almost like a month and a half. So let's do a very fast review. A review is always good when we look at it from a different angle. Let's start from a different angle. So we have been meditating. We say we focus on our breath and then let go. So what is letting go? The mind is letting go. Who is focusing on the breath? The mind is focusing on the breath. So the mind, the word mind is a very general concept, mind. But the mind is, when we analyze it, according to the Buddhist teaching, we can break it down into 8 consciousnesses, not just mind. Mind is a very general concept. So, because we have basically 8 consciousnesses, and this consciousnesses comes from our forefront senses. We have the eyes that interact with matter. Eyes see everything, interact with matter. Then we also have ears, nose, interact with smell and so forth. Tongue interact with taste, body with touch. So eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. So when these sensory organs interact with external objects, then what happens? When our senses interact with external objects, what happens? Consciousnesses arise. Sometimes your eyes interact with matter, which produces seeing consciousness, but if you're not focusing on the matter, there's no seeing consciousness. You don't know what you're seeing. When your ears are not focusing on the sound, not interacting with attention on the sound, you don't know what you're listening to. So in order for the ears interacting with the sounds, which were resulting in listening or hearing consciousness arise, there must be attention. So the reason why we have so far in this review, we have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. These are the forefront 5 consciousnesses. They are the forefront. Without, without them, without ears, without eyes, without ears, without nose, without tongue, without body, can we still exist? Can we? Can our consciousness still exist? Yes. We still have the mind. You just don't have eyes, ears. Helen Keller didn't have eyes. She couldn't see. Helen Keller didn't have ears, hearing consciousness. She couldn't listen. Nose in her is okay. Tongue, no more. No talking consciousness, because she couldn't talk. So in other words, without eyes, ears, nose, tongue, you still exist as a being. But how about without body? Here, what body refers to, not just touch, not body is touching. Well, part of it is that body is a comprehensive word for all the interaction of the internal organs inside that interact with each other, which includes. So, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Those are the 5 that an ordinary, more or less, we call it normal being, would possess. And then we ask ourselves another question. How do we use our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body? How do we use them? We just use them in our daily lives to interact with externalities. And in the process of interacting with externalities, consciousness arises, of course. And what are the results of this arising of consciousness? Of this, the first five consciousness. Our eyes see, ears listen, nose smell, tongue taste, body interaction and touch. Usually, we're attached to externalities. When we're attaching to externalities, we create what we call feeling. We like certain things, we hate certain things. Certain things we may not hate, we may not like, we have a neutral feeling about it. So we attach to externalities with emotions. And in the process of doing this, we also have concomitant mental defilements. In the process of seeing something, we like it, we hate it, we have gladness, that delight that comes with it. We may have hatred, we may have jealousy, we may have disappointment, hatred, jealousy, you name them. There's 51. Basically, there are 26 of these unwholesome mental functions that correspond to all these things. You may not realize it. Your jealousy just come up. Your depression just come up. You don't realize that all these things happen in us. The Buddha analyzed this for us, because when you're meditating, you still have these things working internally. If you don't know how to meditate, if you just sit there and you say, okay, meditation is just sitting there doing nothing, relaxing, but then all of a sudden yesterday's event came up. You hated that event, you liked that event, or whatever. All these things come up in you, even in your meditation. Not to say, even when you are more or less peaceful with the body, not to say when you're out there using all these senses to interact with externalities, we call it what? Attaching to them. We're not letting go of them. Somebody yell at you and you hate it. Somebody look at you that with an eyesight that you dislike, you hate it. All these various variety of feelings and varieties of attachments and varieties of unhappiness arise. And we all think that they're normal. We all think that it's normal that we are jealous. It's normal that we are greedy. It's normal that we have sexual misconduct. We have sexual desires. It's normal that everything we think that's normal. We think attaching to externalities are normal. We think that all these 26 unwholesome feelings come up are normal. But the Buddha said they're not normal. They're not normal. The reason why we are still involved with life and death, we were involved with sufferings, with all this pain and suffering, is because we think they are normal. We habitually attach to externalities and we think it's normal we do that. We think that it's good to have fame and reputation and money and luxuries, and it's good to be egoistic, because some people say being egoistic, you build up your own power and you can gain more, you can get more, you can attach to materiality more. So in the process of earning money, earning reputations, and even at the expense of doing unwholesome deeds, unwholesome speeches, unwholesome actions and all that. We sometimes when we study Buddhism for a while, we know that those are not right, but we still did this. We still attach to them. We know it's not right to attach, but we still attach. We know that it's not right when people treat you unfairly. You rebuke, you try to show your disapproval. You want to argue. You want to fight. You want to, you think that's normal. Even though we're studying all this Buddhism, you still react that way. But the Buddha said, you got to learn to let go of all these, because these are the reasons why we suffer. But letting go of them, which have been habitually built up, is extremely difficult. You can't just say, I let go, but you cannot let go. And the Buddha said, why don't we train ourselves to let go? Train ourselves to let go, train ourselves to be free. Because when you're not letting go, when you're attaching, your mind is not free. Your mind is in suffering. Your mind is in pain. It's all been polluted with mental defilements of greediness, jealousy, hatred, arrogance, fraudulence, you name them. We're all involved with them. And the Buddha said, there are ways to let go of them. And one of the ways, many ways, is meditation. And what you would do in a meditation. Because when we're not meditating, we have all these externalities confronting us. How many of these externalities? How many matters are there? How many sounds are there? Smell, taste, and touch? Millions. Matters, millions of matters. Sound, millions of sounds. Pleasant sounds, unpleasant sounds. So, with so many millions of objects that your consciousness, your A-consciousness corresponding, interacting with, how can we train ourselves? And the Buddha said, why don't we limit our externalities to just one thing in order to train our mind to be pure? Why don't we just limit it to one thing? Why don't we, first of all, not attaching first. Learn not to attach. And we call it, that word is let go. Can we let go of externalities? When somebody yells at you, can you let go of that sound of yelling? When somebody wrongly accuses you and makes you angry, can you let go of that anger? When your eyes look at something beautiful, sensuously attaching, can you let go of that sensuous feeling? So we have to let go, right? So, what do we do in our meditation? Letting go of matters, we close our eyes usually. We close our eyes usually. So what do? So we let go of no matter. So we close the eyes, letting go, we close the eyes. So we don't see all this color, we don't see anything. We just learn how to let go first, right? Let go. And then the ears, we let go of sound. Right now it's pouring outside. And some people say, oh, it's the sound of music. Pouring rain, listening to the rain, it's music. Some people say it's unpleasant. I don't like this. I have a bad feeling about rainy days. I don't like to listen to rain. Some people say, no, pouring rain is beautiful. They're attaching to it. They differentiate what kind of sound it is. Some people like the singing of birds. Some people hate it. Why don't the birds disturb me in my meditation? So different people have different habits, have different liking. But then can you let go of all those? So your ears let go of the sound. You learn to let go. How do we let go? Can we kill the sound? We cannot kill externalities. Can you kill the pouring rain? You must be crazy. You can't kill the pouring rain. Can you kill the birds flying there so that they don't make any sound? It's impractical to kill externalities. It's better to let them go. They come and let them go. Because when your mind wants them to stay, they stay. When your mind wants them to go, then they go, right? It's all in your mind. Nothing to do with externalities. You can change externalities. It's easier to change yourself first. So usually when people come up to me and say, my husband is always, nagging me, or my wife is always nagging me, telling your husband to stop nagging, telling your wife to stop nagging, it's not easy. That's her habit. That's his habit. But telling yourself to let go of that nagging is easier because you can control it. Whenever he yell at me, whenever he nag me, I just say, I don't care about that. It comes into my ears, left ear, it goes out from my right ear. I don't attach to it. I change myself first. It's easier. Don't you think it's easier? Can you tell him to shut up? No, he won't. He may want to shut up now, but tomorrow he'll do the same thing again. So the best is to let go, because the best is to don't let your mind attach to it. That's more practical, that's easier. So that's how you let go of the sound. When it comes in, you just let it go, let it float out. Don't let it stay. Our problem is we like to retain sound in our mind, ponder on it, agonize on it when people blame you, attach to it when there's music. You want to listen to the same music again? You can spend 3 hours listening to music, but you won't spend 3 hours in meditation because you attach to the music. You think it's good. And then about smell. You let go. How do you let go of smell? Right now I can't let go of the smell that comes from the kitchen. I smell egg rolls. I smell some food in there. That's the problem. We're going to turn this metal around so that it goes straight and not shooting in this direction. That's what we're trying to do later. So we can't let go of smell. The guy next to me, he just finished jogging at 8:30 and he came to meditation. He is sweating and he stinks. And I'm meditating by his side and I feel terrible. You can't tell him to go. You have no right to tell, get out. You have no right to tell him to get out. I guess I have. But I'm not going to exercise it. Because there's someone in here that monitors it, that he has the right to say, no, when you're not behaving, the guy who's supervising can tell you, you have to leave if you're not behaving. If you're hitting someone, blaming someone, or making disturbances, you can't stay, But other than that, he's just sweating. His sweat is terrible, fragrance. So you have to let it go. Tongue is easy to let go unless some of the hamburger stuff still stay between your teeth, and you can actually, taste it. Let go of it. Your body, you can let go of that touch, right? Because you still use the breath as your object of attention. We say, concentrate on your in and out breath. So in other words, you reduce this millions of external objects that is called matter. You eliminate all this, let go of all these millions of sound, millions of smell, millions of taste. You only have one externality that you focus on. That is your breath. You use that breath as your only externality so that you simplified, you streamline all these millions of externalities into just one external object, which is easier to deal with. You still have this breath that you concentrate on so that you have no other objects of attention. That's what we call focus on breath. Why do we do this? We do this because we want to reduce all these multiple millions of external objects that we have been habitually attached to just one object, that is the breath. And when this object, breath, we call it breath, we get used to it, we can focus on it for a long time, that we get into tranquility, we get into forgetting, letting go of the breath, then there's no thought. There's no external object anymore. When there's no external object, what happened? When there's no external object that you attach to, not even the breath, what happened? When that's gone, what happened? When that's gone, something happened. When even the breath is gone, something happened. And we call it tranquility. There's nothing there. All peaceful. No externalities stay in your mind. But that breath, but even the breath is gone, that situation is very difficult to arrive at. Because our mind is like a monkey that has been attaching to all these habitually for millions of lifetime. Now you focus on one breath. If you can be successfully focusing on one breath and not letting that go, you're already on your way to sainthood. Because you're not being influenced by any externalities. You're not being influenced by matter, by sound, by smell, by taste, by touch. And then, those are the crude senses that we're dealing with. Crude senses, the crude consciousnesses. The seeing consciousness, the hearing consciousness, the smelling consciousness, the tasting consciousness, the interactive touching consciousness. All these are crude consciousness, not the fine one. Now we get into the fine one, the mind. The mind is the kind of consciousness, we call it the mano. In the Sanskrit language, we call it the mano, M-A-N-O, the mano consciousness. And that is your thought, your mentality, your inner consciousness. That inner consciousness does not depend on existing veridical direct objects. So in other words, if I close my eyes, if I don't listen, if I shut up all these other five consciousness, I still can create my internal consciousness. That's how skillful your mano is. That's how powerful your mano is, because it interacts not only with the veridical direct information, it gets to the past, it interacts with the present, it projects into the future too. A very powerful manager. Because if I close my eyes, if I'm in my sleep, I still can create in my dreams. Or even if I'm not sleeping in my dreaming, I can create yesterday's event, bring it back, do an impression, and put it in my mind right now. Because this mind, this mano, can bring back yesterday on the present table and ponder on it and attach to it. That's why you hate your dad when you were abused in your childhood by an alcoholic father. Because you always bring that bad memory and hate it. You always bring back the bad memory of the divorced husband and hate him. You always bring back all this, whatever you're agonizing on, bring it back here and ponder on it and continue to agonize on it and continue to suffer on it. That's what we're habitually doing. Now you know, are we not foolish? Are we not stupid in bringing back all this that's already happened unpleasurably, painfully, and bring it back and agonize it on it again? Because that's what we've been habitually doing. We've been bringing the past back onto the present now, think about it, agonize on it, and feel extremely unhappy about it. Bringing the past onto the present. Sometimes we bring happy events. Happiness about last year's birthday party. I was so happy in last year's birthday party. Bring it back. Oh, am I going to have the same happiness again? And he started to compare. No. 2 years ago, I have this happy birthday, and then last year's birthday, somebody showed up. I hated him. We had a fight, and nothing happened. Nothing is pleasurable anymore. And you start to compare. You bring back not only the unpleasant, you also bring back the pleasant. And when you bring back the pleasant, you continue to attach to it, and you cherished it, and you want to keep that, and you want to make sure that the future is going to be the same as the past happiness, which may not happen. Because whenever it's gone, it's gone. If you attach to it and do an expectation on it, if the present life does not meet up to that expectation, you agonize, you suffer, you feel painful. Talking about the past and the present, you also like to do an impression of the future too. You want the future to be something that you want to attach to. What kind of future you want to be? In the future, I want to be famous. I want to get a good boyfriend. I want to get a good girlfriend. I want to do this. I want to do that. And that's what I want. But you won't say, in the future, I want to go into my spiritual practice. I want to be more peaceful. I want to get into this meditation that would lead me to a spiritual path of enlightenment. I want to give. I want to donate my energy as a volunteer to all those needy. This is something else. You may not be thinking about that. You may not be thinking just on selfish motive about how to build up a better life for you in the future based on a selfish motive, not on an altruistic motive. You've been building it on an egoistic motive because we've been habitually thinking that way. When we think about the future, we don't think about how to be altruistically helping others, doing more work to help others, or doing more work to help my family members, or doing more work to better myself so that I can better others. So the mind is extremely powerful because it involves not only with the present, also with the past and the future. And the fourth going five, the ears, the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the body, they're only dealing with the present moment because they're interacting the present matter, present sound, present smell, present touch, present taste. And they are so limited. But the mind, the mano, is so skillful. And also the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, they're not functioning unless they function simultaneously with the mano, with the mind. Because if the mind don't pay attention to it, you don't know what you're listening to. You don't know what you are seeing. You don't know what you're tasting. You don't know what you are smelling. So in other words, all these front five have to interact even with this mano, this manager, in order to work. So you know how skillful your mind is. Given that such a skillful mind, how have we been using our skillful mind? You open up the newspapers, you're listening up to news, to broadcasting news, and what do you listen to? Killings, wars, intoxications, pollutants, sometimes good and sometimes bad. But all these are exposed to things that are not wholesome. And this mind that we all have been habitually using is not on the right enlightened path. It's all in the path of ego, in the path of self-centered. Self-centered not only in the sense of the individual, of the country. Each country is looking after its own interest. Each group, each family, each member of a company, each member of an organization, they all have this manager that's been dominated by the ego. That's why society has problems, family has problems, company has problems. And why do we have to know all these? This seems to be the things we already know, but this seems to be the traps that we always fall into. We can't get out from them. And these traps, we set it ourselves. We're trapping us into it. And the Buddha said, these traps gets us into suffering. And when we are suffering, we don't know these traps. We don't know how to remove these traps. We just continue to tread to fall into the same hole, not knowing that we're falling into the same hole. The Buddha said, if you start to meditate, if you start to analyze it, think about it, then you know. But you need to train yourself to do that. And how do we train ourselves to do that? We always have an internal commentator on everything we see, everything we listen to, all the smell, all the taste, all the touch. We always comment on it with our own egoistic view. We can't break the habitual continuation of this past, present, and future. So we must not let these concomitant mental functions arise. So first of all, we want to train ourselves, our attention on our present breath, not thinking about all this past, present, and future. That's a training process. Meditation is a training process of letting go. Break the habitual thinking. Nothing else. Nothing about how the Buddha can bless you. Nothing about, guardian angels. About you, yourself. You're the master of your own fate. You can change your life. You can start right now, not even waiting for tomorrow. You can start right now to change yourself, to break this habitual thinking. All right, and then we have the seventh consciousness, which is the manas. We just mentioned that the mind is the mano, M-A-N-O, or mano. Mano is the manager, and manas is the self-consciousness. You were born with it. You were born with that ego. We're all born with that ego. If you don't have that ego, you won't be born in this world of life and death. Where did we come from? Where are we going after we die? Where did we come from before we were born? You're not going to think about all these? We reincarnate. We came with an accumulated karmic energy. And this karmic energy is invisible. You may call it the soul, you may call it whatever you want to call it. It's just a name, right? But you were born in here with something. We have accumulated all this karmic energy in our previous lives. Imagine that we're like, everybody has karmic energy within you. All this karmic energy differs from different individuals. We're not the same. That's why some people are more healthy, some people are sick, some people are rich, some people are poor, some people are tall, some people are short, beautiful, handsome, ugly, you name them. They all have different encounterments in their lifetime. They all have different fate. Why they are all different? Why are we all different in this life? It's because we have different karmic energy accumulated from previous lives. Not because of God. God wouldn't create you to let you suffer if He's a true, real, merciful, all-compassionate God. You created your own life because you created that, you accumulated that karmic energy. How do you accumulate all this karmic energy? What do? How do you accumulate it? Through what? If we look at ourselves now, how do we at the present life, not to talk about the past life, how do we in the present life accumulate karmic energy? Through what? Through three ways. We created our karmic energy through three ways. Just talking about the present. by projecting the present into the past, then you know how you created your past karmic energy. We created our karmic energy through 3 channels: our thought, our speech, our behavior, or our thought, our speech, our actions. Who else are you other than this? All your behavior, all your actions, your good actions, your bad actions, your wholesome actions, unwholesome actions. What are these wholesome actions? What are these unwholesome actions? Unwholesome actions: killing, lying, double-tonguing, flatteries, cheating, fraudulent, jealousy, hatred. All these unwholesome actions. Have you been killing? Have we been killing? No, I haven't been killing. But you've been fishing, hunting, you're eating meat. So when you are meat eaters, you are actually indirectly supporting the slaughterhouses to do their business. They're killing cows for you, pigs for you, chickens and pork, and all this for you. You are indirectly supporting them to kill animals for food. But when this killing is involved, you think this karmic energy of killing, once an animal is killed, is all gone? When the energy of cruel killing is there, the energy would not disintegrate. The hatred, the discontent from the animals being killed would bring up all this bad karmic energy to influence all the others, directly or indirectly. Killing, sexual misconduct. What's the result of sexual misconduct sometimes? Not everything is pleasant. You think as long as both parties mutually agree to it, there's no karmic energy? Everything, every behavior has karmic energy. If this sexual misconduct is done without the consent of one individual, we call it raping. And you think raping does not produce karmic energy? Or cheating? Or intoxication? So we are all adults. We know enough that what are unwholesome actions and wholesome actions, unless we don't even know what wholesome and unwholesome are. So unwholesome actions, unwholesome speeches too. Have you been lying? Fabrications. And these speeches include not only in spoken words, but in written words too. When you drop a contract, do you put in any clause that is selfish, that is cheating, that the other parties don't know, or that you know that is all for your benefit and not for the other party's benefit? Or if you talk to a lawyer in the law of tort or commercial law, all these problems created because of what? Of one party directly or indirectly cheating another party. That's why they have a lawyer to be in court to protect one party and accuse the other party. All this court proceedings, all this breach of contract, breach of law of tort, all that thing. Oh, too many of these things to talk about. So I don't want to stay away, further and further without concentrating on it. See, we talk about karmic energy. Just one slide would probably take if we associate with all these different things about facets of the society. We can continue and continue, but it doesn't serve a right purpose if you just flood yourself with a lot of readings, with a lot of videotape. You see a lot of videos on YouTube, or you do a lot of readings, but have you assimilated them? You just look at one slide and you can think about it and contemplate on it. You can contemplate a lot. But if you expose yourself to millions of books, you may not know. After reading these words, you may just say, oh, what have I learned? You have to think about it, ponder on it, get the details about it. So why are we bringing, where did we come from? That's my first question. Before we were born, we came with this accumulated karmic energy that's been built into it. That's the reason why we're all different. But there's one very substantial, very dominant desire that brings us to this world of desire. You see that the universe is in 3 planes. The lower level is the world with desire, and we call it the Kamadhatu, the realm with desires. A level that's higher than us is no desire, but still matter exists. We call it Rupadhatu, still matter. And the higher level, even matter does not exist. We call it Arupadhatu, only consciousness left. The lighter you are, the higher level. Because you carry this body is not light. This body is all body with all these ears, nose, tongue. But at the higher level, they don't need tongue to taste the flesh and blood of animals. At the most top, very top level, only pure consciousness left. The reason why we are in this Kamadhatu is because we have desire. And the most dominant desire is the desire of men and women. The sensuous desire. Bring us all in this reincarnation of this Dhammadhatu. But being confused, we thought that that's normal. You think that relationship between a man and a woman is normal in here, but the Buddha said, no, it's not normal. We've been habitually doing that, and that's the reason why we're always in that karmic energy of coming back to this world of desire. And we continue that kind of desires. As we continue our continuation of life and death in this Dhammadhatu. We can't even get to the higher level of the Rupadhatu and the Arupadhatu. You talk to an average Joe Blow in the street. You think that if you talk to him and say, hey, the relationship between a husband and between a man and a woman actually is not normal. He would laugh at you. He would think you're a fool. That's why the Buddha said it's not normal. That brought us down. You always want a wife. You always want a husband. You think that without a wife, without a husband, you are at a loss. That's why we always say, you are now 25, and you want to be a monk or a nun. You don't want to be in a relationship. I say, oh, you must be a wise guy. Because you know that you want to steer your livelihood into a sainthood. You can want to get away from this. But I can tell you, guy or girl at the age of 80, they're still looking for a partner. 85, they're still looking for a partner. 86, they still want a divorce. They want to remarry it again to have another life, have to another sparkle of life in their lifetime. At the age of 86, a new wife or a new husband. So, what am I talking about now? 11:30. I haven't finished one slide. But it's good because we can always bring back, all this seems to be so basic, so elementary, but then we missed it. We just forget about it. We want to look at profound books about meditation, how to get to that level, how to get to a level that, you're free of all your thoughts. But this is so basic. If you can't get to this basic, why are you, you have shelves and shelves of videos and books. They're not good to you. So we've been building up this karmic energy because we have this speech, behavior, and thought. So the Buddha said, why don't we start to purify? And then purify what? Purify our speech? Purify our actions? How can you stop somebody's action when the action is already performed? How can you stop somebody's yelling when the yelling is already performed? You can't shut him up. You can tie them down with not doing anything. How do we get to change you or the other guy? Not by what you see, what you listen, by his thought, by your thought. You have to change your thought, not your action, not your speech. Because we always have been saying, thought produces action and behavior. Behavior and actions, when it's frequently repeated, it becomes a habit. Habit, frequently repeated, becomes your personality. Personality determines your destiny. You make up your own destiny. Don't blame mom and dad. Don't blame your brother for bullying you, your sister for bullying, or your teacher, your school. It's all in your thought. So you start from changing your thought. So that's the reason why we have thought in here. Thought. We change our thought. Right now I can't change my thought on attaching to my food at lunchtime. So, you see, we get back to the world, we habitually get to eating and food, and when we taste the food, is it good, is it bad? Or when somebody is serving you, are you serving me well? I mean, are you ignoring me? Or, you start to differentiate, you start to have this sufferings, and we have been habitually doing it. We must learn to break it. And that's what the Buddha told us. Letting go, only have the breath as the externality, and finally, even the breath has to go. All this habitual thinking has to go. You think that's easy? I've been working on it for 60 years. I'm still not good at it. I still try to do it. I still try to, concentrate. Sometimes I still get angry. Sometimes I still attached. But I know that it's not right. You think being a monk, all his senses are all pure? You're not kidding. We're still learning. But we know we can get back. Once we have the first thought of attachment, then we have the second thought, we know, don't attach anymore. No third thought, coming back. Maybe it's easier for us to pull that monkey back. The monkey is still there. But you, who haven't learned anything about this, your monkey is all out. Your monkey gets you in jail. Your monkey gets you in a relationship that is not warranted. Your monkey gets into all kinds of troubles. And you don't blame your own monkey. You blame all those partners that have been creating all these. We're a poor being, not knowing how to solve problems. We only blame all the others. We only blame externalities and not concentrating in our own thought purification.